Hi, on this video we are going to add the filter by role drop down menu. So in order to make this example clear, I have created a new user here and called him Samir and assigned him to the role staff. So let's open here the users manager page. Okay, and before the div users, I will add a new div called div sort by. So this div sort by will take this style here. Okay, inside the div sort by, I will add a new div with a class equals input group, and inside it I will first create a span and give it a class called input group add-on. Okay, and this class will carry the word filter. Then I will put a new drop down list here and call it drop roles. Okay, run add server drop down list. So in the design, I will go to the design here and I will choose a data source for it and choose a new SQL data source. So SQL drop roles. Okay, let's go to the default connection, and this is actually a very simple SQL. So I will choose here ASP NET roles directly, and I want the two fields, so I will check on the star. Next, then test query. It should give me two records. Okay, then finish. Then I will use the name for the display and the ID for the value. Then click on OK, but let's stylize this drop down menu. So I will give it the CSS class equals form control. Let's save all and let's view this on the Google Chrome. Okay, here we go, but it looks to me that this drop down list is so big, so we want to little stylize it, so we can test it here first. So this menu will have a width maybe 80%. Let's try. Okay, it seems fine to me. So let's go here and let's type the width equal 80%. However, changing the menu selection will not result in anything here. So we want to put a button here, so when you filter anything, the button will appear. So let's do that. After the input group, I will add a new button. So ASP button run at equals server and ID equal btn go, and the text equal go, and the CSS class equals btn dash success. Now this button should be hidden by default, and if you change something here, it will appear. And if you are a beginner, you might decide to switch the drop down list auto post back property to true and set the button's visibility to false. Then on the code behind page, make the button appear when the drop down list changes. I strongly unrecommend that approach, as this will cause the user to send the entire page to the server and wait to receive a post back, which will lead to a very bad user experience. So the best approach is to do it through JavaScript. And in general, I have a rule here. You have to use the code behind page in only two cases. The first one is when you enter the page, and the second one is when you're about to leave the page. However, for simplicity and to avoid concentrating heavily on Ajax techniques, sometimes I will break those two rules during the course of our videos. So let's do that using JavaScript. So in order to create JavaScript, I can create the JavaScript code here on the same page, but I prefer usually to edit inside a file. So I will type here, I will go here and add a new JavaScript file. I will call it users manager. Okay, then the first thing I will type here is, when the page loads, what will happen? What is the name of the drop down list? ID of the drop down list is SQL drop roles. However, when this drop down menu renders, it will be given another name, it will be given another ID. So let's see the ID here. Its main contents drop roles. So in order for the drop down list control to be rendered with the same ID, I will type client ID mode equals static, and I will do the same for the button. So client ID mode equals static, and I will make this button by default hidden by setting the style equals display. I will not set its visible property to false, as this will prevent the server from adding the button to the pages DOM from the beginning, which will make the JavaScript we are about to write fail to find the button in order to show it. Instead, I will make its display to none, so it will be rendered inside the page but hidden. So let's go here and let's type, when drop roles changes, what will happen? Function the following. I will go to button btn go dot show. Okay, finish. I haven't included a reference for that JavaScript file. Okay, so the button go will appear whenever we change something here. So I want to actually make the button go beside this div element. If I right click here and try to set its position to absolute, okay, so I can type top equals 0. No, let's make the top, for example, 10 pixels. Okay, then let's put the left as 300, for example. Okay, 300 is too far. Let's make it 275. Let's make it 285. It's okay. So let's put these three properties here in our page for the, this is our button here, and let's add those three properties. However, still this button do nothing when you click on it. So let's type a code here for this button in order to filter this grid view according to the selected item here. So how we are going to do that? I misspelled something here. So filter, okay. So let's see how to do that. If we press F7 and go to the button go, click event, this is what will happen. Before I type anything here, I have to modify the SQL select command. So for the SQL grid view users, I will go to the design and configure data source, and I will open the query builder, and instead of one table I will add two other tables. And take care, because the order here of selecting the table makes a big difference. So if you select, for example, ASP NET roles, this will create a direct relation between the ASP NET users and the ASP NET roles, which does not exist in the reality. And if you select ASP NET user roles, this will result in a very big problem here, which will result in a very big problem in the code, because this link shouldn't exist. So I will delete them, and let's add them with a proper order. The ASP.NET users is directly connected with the ASP NET user roles, which in return directly connected to ASP NET roles. The role ID here should be filtered to be at role ID. So this is a select parameter here. Now let's press on the OK button. Let's click on next, and the role ID I will leave it the default value I will leave it as blank, and click on next, and then click on test query. If I type the role ID 123 for example, which is the admin, it will return one record only, which is 100 designs manager as expected. So let's click on finish, and let's see what we will do on the button click. On the button click, SQL grid view users dot select parameters, which one? The role ID dot default value equals what? Drop roles dot selected value. And don't forget to refresh our project. So let's refresh here. Okay, so by default there is nothing. If you click on stuff and click on go, it will display 2 employees here. If you click on admin and click on OK, it will display only 1 record. However, suppose that I want to display all the users for that website, I will not be able to do that. So let's go back to Visual Studio, and let's go to the page here and this drop down menu, and let's add a new item here by clicking on the edit items, click add, and add an item called all. Okay, and it will be given the same value. So press OK, and this all will be the first item on the list. Let's save all and let's refresh. However, we will find that there is no all in this menu after refreshing the page. And why is that? Because you have to go back here and set the append data bound items to true. So if you now click on save all and refresh your page, okay, now you have all admin and stuff. So let's handle those cases here. So we have 2 cases here. The first case when the user selects the all, and the second case when the user selects a role. So if drop roles dot selected value equals all, then what will happen? The SQL grid view data source will have to select all the users regardless the role. So I will copy the previous select command, which selects all the users, by temporarily deleting the other 2 tables, the users, and copy the select command, then cancel. So SQL grid view users dot select command will be equal to this. So the simple one, without anywheres. Okay, whereas if he selects anything else rather than all, the select command will be equal to that select command. Okay, Control V, rebuild our project. Okay, let's refresh here. So let's select admin, click on go, let's select all, click on go. It will give me all the users here. Okay, let's select the stuff, go, all again. Okay, it's working fine, but there is only one problem here, is that when you enter the page for the first time, the GVW users will not show any records at all. And the reason behind that is simply because our SQL data source still get the select command which has the where condition inside. So let's go here to the SQL data source and modify our query builder by deleting those two tables here and simply leave the ASP.NET users. So let's click OK, next, test query, and then it will give me all the users. So this is what should happen when you load the page without clicking any buttons. So let's click on finish. Let's rebuild our project. Okay, let's refresh our page now. Okay, working as expected. So admin, okay, stuff, okay, let's reload our page. This is okay now, so everything is okay. However, this is not the professional design we are after. There is two problems actually. The first one is that when the user choose something here like admin and click on go, if he refresh the page afterwards, it will give him this message. So the user doesn't expect this message. He will be confused because he didn't fill any form. Why this form? What is this form about? So he will click cancel and the page will not be refreshed. The second problem is that when the user changes the menu selection here from admin, for example, to stuff and click go, he expects that if he click on the back button, he will get exactly the same previous page. However, he will get this confusing result instead, where the filter is pointing to a stuff, whereas the table is filtering user by admin. So how could we solve these problems? There is only one way to do that, by making the page's URL responsible for filtering the grid view, and this will demand changing our go button from a button to a hyperlink referring to the same page with a different query string values. So back to Visual Studio, and let's change too many things here on the code behind page. So all the things I wrote here on the button go.click, I will write it here on the page load, and I will change the button go from a button to a hyperlink. So let's first change it, this button, from being a button to a hyperlink. Now let's go here and comment all of those things temporarily, as any hyperlink doesn't have any actions on the code behind page. On page load, I will type here dim role id as string equals request.query string role id. If role id equals all, then grid view user.select command will be equal to that, and else what will happen is that the SQL grid view user.select command will be this value. This line is useless, this line is useless as well. So let's delete this code here, and let's go to the users manager page, and let's also delete the select command here. It will be useless. Okay, that's fine. Let's rebuild our solution. Okay, let's go here. Oh, first I will have to test the page by typing the query string. So I will type role id equals, for example, stuff, not stuff 456, and without quotations. So this is my hyperlink. If I press enter, something is going wrong here, and I think I forgot to set the value of the SQL parameter role id on the case else. SQL grid view users dot select parameters role id dot default value equals the role id. So let's rebuild again and refresh. Bingo. So this is the admin. If I type 456, if I type all, however, everything is going okay. Yet we still have a little problem here, that this drop down lists selected option is not matching with the query string. So I will go here in the JavaScript file, and on page load I will type that the drop roles dot val equals what? Equal the request.queryString the role ID. How can I type the request.queryString here in JavaScript? This is why I have prepared here a function. We don't have the time to discuss it now, but I will copy it and paste it here, and this will get the query string. Let's say get the query string value. So it will get the value of any query string you specify here. So let's copy and let's paste. Type here the role ID. Now let's save all, and there's no need to rebuild our project. Now let's type here 1 2 3. Okay, this is the admin. Let's type 4 5 6. This is the stuff. So far so good. Now let's program the button go in order to redirect me to that page with a different query string. So if I click on go, it will redirect me. Now go has no function. So inside JavaScript I will type here, when button go is clicked, what will happen? Window location dot href equals window dot location dot path name. So the function path name returns the current URL without any query strings. So dot path name, and I will type here plus role ID equals and plus what? The drop roles dot val, isn't it? So let's save all. Let's refresh our page. Let's click on all and click on go. It's working right. Let's click admin. Let's click all. Let's click stuff. Let's click go. Now if you refresh your page, nothing wrong. If you press on the back button, nothing wrong. If you press the back button again, it will return you to the option all. And if you click on forward, the same thing is happening. This is a professional way to design the website. Only one small issue left before we leave this page is that when you click the users manager, and since the hyperlink refers to a URL that has no query strings included inside it, we will get a blank page. So in order to handle this situation, I will go here on the code behind page and write or role ID equals nothing, then do the following. Let's rebuild. Okay, let's refresh our page. That's okay, but the drop down list still doesn't have any option selected by default. So let's go to the JavaScript here, and inside the when DOM ready function I will type an if condition. So if get query string of role ID equals nothing, then drop roles.val will be equal to all. So let's save all. Let's refresh our page. Okay. At the end, I want to say that I could have kept the go button as it is and not transfer it to a hyperlink, and use the response.redirect URL function on the button's click action to redirect me to the same page with a query string depending on the drop-down list selected option. However, I decided instead to do it using JavaScript to make you familiar with it, as we will use JavaScript extensively on the next video. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please press like.